Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend, brilliant.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. If you're new here, please make sure you do subscribe. I do appreciate it. And if you're listening over on the audio platforms, a little rate and review would be greatly appreciated. And obviously the YouTube, if you're here, then click on the subscribe button, wherever it is down here. It takes 2 seconds, and it means a lot here on the channel. So I'm just going to wait while you do that. And thank you very much for doing that. Really do appreciate it. What a weekend of footy. The prelims are completed, and the grand final is set. 2025 finished. Grand final to go. And before we get into it, he joins me every week. He called himself Blake Braley last week because he turns up. Here he is. Victor, who are you this week?
Who am I this week? Not Ashley Klein. Is that too early?
Don't make me laugh.
Too early.
I've been a bit crook, so
not Ashley Klein, but I had a great weekend. We had a quiet one, just watching the footy.
Yep.
A couple of great games, but Sharks are out, but it's all right.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Your Sharkies are gone.
We'll talk about that. I think it was a good season. We made it further than. When I say we, sorry.
No, that's okay. You can say we. That's fine. They
made it further than I think anyone else thought they would.
Yep.
Probably myself included.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, it was a good game.
Yeah.
We were there up until the end.
Yeah. Back-to-back prelims, like 2 years in a row. That's a pretty good effort to finish in the top four in, the modern game. And, we'll get into that.
We'll get into it.
We're going to get into it straight away. I mean, usually over the course of the show, if you listen, we get into obviously what's trending in the NRL, which we're going to put that after the game. So we're going to go straight into the games. We're going to do what's trending, and then we'll finish with our fan questions today. So let's go. Storm 22, Sharkies 14. Now, the first prelim on Friday down at Amy Park in Melbourne. Obviously, a massive weekend in Melbourne with the AFL Grand Final. But it was the Storm coming out on top and making it to another Grand Final. And look, you just have to be in awe of this team, this football club, the coach as well. Bellamy, his record absolutely speaks for itself. This is an organisation that is just consistently in the top four. Like, you do your season previews and whatever, and it's just like, you just put Storm in the top four like it's nothing. And to make another grand final is just it's absolutely unbelievable. It's super impressive. Their record absolutely speaks for itself. Their team, their culture as well. And obviously, I've sort of said that I've been a big admirer of this club, and I've loved to be like a fly on the wall in some of Bellamy's meetings. And obviously, we see the sprays he gives in the coach's box and things throughout games and whatever, and the passion that he shows. But yeah, just what an unbelievable achievement. So the Storm obviously coming into this game, having the week off, which we know absolutely is so beneficial. And it turns out both teams who had the week off, both of those teams proceed through to the grand final. And it's not always the case, but it's always at least one of those teams. But this year, obviously, the week off was just absolutely massive. And obviously, the Storm making the most of it. The Jerome Hughes obviously was a massive in for the Storm, suffering that broken arm or wrist or whatever it was just a couple of weeks ago. And obviously we saw the massive sort of guard, Mal Meninga, sort of Shane Webke forearm guard that he was wearing. And, I did a couple of interviews last week with Fox and they asked me, like, is this a risk for Jerome Hughes to play? And yeah, it was a risk, but look, I think the biggest thing for me was, like, if Jerome Hughes gets through the training, he's confident to play and he ticks all the boxes. And look, obviously he's got a broken arm. Like, it may not be 100%, but if it's 80%, if it's 90% or whatever it may be, it's more so just in the head. Like, is he confident enough to go out there to cop a hit, to make tackles and to get his job done? And if he says, yeah, I am, then we put him out to play. And that's what I said. I said, regardless of everything else and how other people have played, which other people have filled in and done a tremendous job on his behalf. But look, if he's okay and he's saying I'm okay, I'm rolling out with Jerome Hughes. And the Dally M medalist proved that it was the right call. And obviously how he played in the weekend's game was phenomenal. It was interesting to note he would, especially early on in the sets, he was defending on the wing. Did you notice that, Victor?
No, I was trying to look for him. He definitely hit himself very well.
Yeah.
I think that was obviously the plan, right?
100%. So I was watching the game very closely and very detailed, and especially early on. So he would kick, and they kicked to their left a lot away from Mulatalo towards Sione. So then that obviously means that they would have to sort of wrap over to kind of get Jerome to make tackles. And you could see they were kind of trying to sort of work down that corridor, and he would just kind of defend the first 3 or 4 plays out on the wing. And then once they sort of got up to halfway, he would get to his normal position, which I think is just the smartest move ever.
Yep.
Especially even if he wasn't injured, it's a smart move. You want your halfback making the least amount of tackles as possible. This guy doesn't get paid to make tackles. This guy gets paid to pass the ball, set the plays up, throw some dummies, take the line on, and execute the kicking game.
To do exactly what he did on Friday night.
And he's doing it all with a broken arm. And obviously reports was to suggest that he put a thicker plate and bigger screws and whatever it is, and the medical advice. And you hear Jerome Hughes sort of thanking the medical team that sort of helped him get there, which is obviously massive. And look, I just think the whole situation was very well handled, from obviously the medical staff to the team to the game plan to obviously execute that where he goes out on the wing. Because if he's defending on the wing in those early couple of plays when the Sharks are coming out of their own end, the Sharks aren't shifting the ball and there's no defensive decisions to be made. So it is easy for Jerome Hughes to just go out there, take a breather, not make many tackles, and then come back in. And obviously he did have to make some big tackles later on in the game, but obviously he showed that he was up to it. So yeah, like I said, I did notice there was some of the things I noticed early in the game, that the Storm were kicking to their left down towards Sione, away from Mulatalo. That was definitely in the game plan. For whatever reason, they wanted Mulatalo to come in to carry the ball. And obviously he's a very strong carrier and brings a lot of their energy with the ball for the Sharkies. So, look, this game, I thought the start of it was very, very fast. And I thought Stefano Utoikamanu, deserves a massive pat on the back. And he was, again, like I said, I watched both games with, a lot of intent and a lot of focus. Obviously, you kind of have to when you're talking about the games, but that was one of the best 40 minutes I've seen from Stefano, that start of the game. His intent when he was carrying the ball was phenomenal. And one set, he had 2 carries in a set. And the way he just sort of he was bumping people off. He was getting down, playing the ball. He was physical. It was almost like he was running downhill. And I thought he won that battle against Aden Fanua-Blake. And Aden is, in my opinion, probably top 3 props in the game. You chuck Payne Haas in there, Aden Fanua-Blake, and, maybe Tino. There's your top 3. Stefano, I thought, really stood up with the way he carried the ball. I thought was excellent. So he deserves a massive rap. And it was more, I saw a quote from one of the Storm assistant coaches, Ryan Hinchcliffe, about Stefano. And obviously, he's come across from the West Tigers from the past couple of years, and obviously made that decision to leave the Tigers and go to the Storm because he probably had enough of losing at the Tigers and wanted to play finals footy. And then he said that Stefano had said that he had got, copped a bit of stick for leaving the Tigers. But now it's kind of validated that he's playing a grand final now. You know what I mean? So I feel good on him. I
also think he's done so much in the last couple of months, because I think at the start of the season there were a lot of criticism.
A lot of expectation.
A lot of criticism on him. He obviously wasn't performing as well as he could have. But this last 2 months, he's just gone another level.
Yeah, and I think you got to give him time as well. It's not like you can just start the season and just be at a top tier level from minute one. It's like you're starting at a new team. You got a new culture to fit into, a new system. To find out the way they do things. So look, like I said, I just thought that first 40 minutes, and I'm going to go back on that Ryan Hinchcliffe quote. He sort of said, he was asked about why is Stefano, like why is he playing so well now or better than when he was at the Tigers, and his answer was more so like the minutes that he's been asked to play. Like he's been asked to play 50 minutes now at the Storm, where at the Tigers he was playing like 70, 80 minutes a game. So obviously you play more minutes, you have more fatigue, you probably have less impact, where if you have a lower threshold of minutes, you can be more effective in that time. You can go, and this is what Hinchcliffe said, he said you can go more as hard and as fast as you can, not save yourself, and then you can come off and have a rest. And he subs on with, you take him off and you chuck Tui Kamikamitha on, who's just as big and can be just as powerful as well. I thought he was really impressive when he came on, Tui. So, look, when the Sharkies got down there, their very first chance with the ball, they looked a little bit tentative, they looked a little bit nervous, and Blake Brayley threw a pass to the ground, which sort of went to no one, and the Storm came up with it. And then it bounced back towards the other end, and then that's when the Storm scored their first try through Will Warbrick out on their right edge, and he's had a fantastic season. Look, I thought Will Warbrick, some of his kick defusals in that game were outstanding. It was like it reminded me of Brett Morris 2019 grand final, I think it was, 18 or 19. I think it was 19, where they just kept kicking to him and he just kept catching it. And like it may seem like a boring job, right? Go up and catch the ball, and your involvement, like obviously Will Warbrick scored that try, but like if Will Warbrick had have done nothing else in the game but just caught every single bomb, every single high ball, every single contest that came your way, like that in a big game, like never ever underappreciate the value of that. So that's something to keep an eye on, this week and in the big games. Like, obviously his yardage carries were outstanding as well, but just the kick defusal, the ability to just catch everything that comes your way, get up amongst the crowd and just boom, catch the ball. So look, I thought he was really good. I thought Will Warbrick was great. Now let's move on to what else sort of caught my eye in the opening, the opening half of this whole game. But in the first 5 minutes, Victor, there was 2 penalties in the first 5 minutes. And it turned out to be, I think it was 19 penalties for the game. And, we've got a coach.
You want to show Fitzy's clip?
Let's roll Fitzy's clip from after the game.
Mate, I'd like to see if that's a semi-final, like if that's a prelim and you want a grand final to have 18 penalties, like I'm not talking about the ref, the better side won today. Melbourne were the better side today, hands down. But, mate, I think the first half was 22 minutes of ball in play. Like, what are we doing for a prelim? Like, don't you want to, what do the fans want? You want to see ball in play, go, let's go, we go, you go, and then we'll find out. But the better side won today, so I can't complain about. And the calls were, some of those warranted on us, but it's a lot for this time of year for our game.
It's a lot.
It
was too much. To me, it was way too much. And that's why I put a tweet out there during the game saying, put the whistle away. Because I was just watching the game and I was like, come on, let the boys play. Like, to me, it was just too much. I just didn't want to see it. And look, I thought the refereeing from Ashley Klein could have been a bit better. I thought he could have put the whistle away a couple of occasions, maybe give a couple more warnings, spoken to the guys and said, look, if, I don't want to blow me, I want to let you guys play. Like, let's work on our discipline, whatever. Like, something to just stop the referee's involvement and to, like Fitzy said, get more ball in play, because we want ball in play. We want fatigue. We want big plays. We want explosive plays, but there just was none of that.
It seemed like there were a lot of like inside 10 calls.
Yeah.
And getting like yardage penalties from both teams.
It was a lot. And it just relieved like a lot of pressure coming out of their own end.
Yeah. But like why? If both teams are doing that, just kind of let it play is what I saw. But
look, it was frustrating. Like, as a fan, a fan of the game, I was frustrated watching the whole thing. and I thought Ashley could have done a better job. I mean, I like Ashley Klein. I think he's a good ref, but it's going to be interesting because we'll get on to Grant Atkins and his performance in the second game at the end of it. We spoke about Jerome Hughes, the impact that he had on the game. Obviously, that try with the fend and the line break was absolutely phenomenal. Does it all. That at that moment, you could see how pumped up he was, and it was almost like when he scored that, it just kind of validated his position to be there and execute that try. So I thought that was really nice. Cronulla would then score a nice try. Billy Burns hit a great hole off Nico. Nico was sort of skimming across sideways and then hit Billy Burns, a nice straight running hole. He found Ramian and then Ramian found Katoa. So the fight from Cronulla was there. I thought they fought hard the whole game. It then kind of moved on to it was Munster and Pappenhausen ID of Will Kennedy in the line. Now, if we pause it there, you don't even get to sort of see, there's not even Munster and Pappenhausen don't even look at each other. It's just a call. Now, I think this is from Pappy, and I think it's a call where it's it might be banana. You know what I mean? He says banana, which means kick it for me. So he sees Kennedy come up in the line. He calls the play, and then Munster just backs himself to execute the kick. And then the skill from Pappenhausen to actually put it on the toe extra and then actually time it to then put the ball down with pressure. Don't ever underestimate how tough that is, because how often do we see guys who just can't execute the touch and then the put down. So look, that was high level of IQ. Munster was just dominating all day. He was just absolutely everywhere. He finished with 16 hit-ups, I'm pretty sure. 16 carries, which was absolutely
20 runs.
Phenomenal. He had 20 runs for 193 metres. He topped the metres in the whole team. And it was just he was just taking hit-ups. He wasn't even... He was just taking hit-ups just for the fun of it, And he had 20 dummies in the game. He had one line break. He had one try assist. So look, he was all over everywhere. The Storm ended up throwing 55 dummies compared to the Sharks 7. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Munster's just thrown 20 dummies himself. 55 dummies to 7. That's pretty crazy, man.
Can I ask you about the dummy?
Of course.
How much should we be throwing more dummies? Seeing Munster's impact and how he can sell defenses.
Yeah.
Why aren't more players doing that? Why?
Yeah. Well, it's very it's a hard thing for, I think, when you say to someone, especially as a half, to take on the line, unless you're Munster, where you're just big enough to just take hit ups. Not every half is kind of that big to just take a hit up into the big forward pack. So you got to sort of pick your time. You know what I mean? Nowadays, running the ball is so much more common and being a threat. But you've got to be going over the advantage line with support to throw a dummy. If you just have a slow play the ball and there's no support and you throw a dummy, you're going to get folded. So you need to have support and options around you, because that's what, obviously, tricks the defense into you taking a dummy, if that makes sense.
It does.
All right, let's move on. So Storm, this is an interesting fact. They're 28 for 28 when leading at halftime. They're now 29 for 29 when they lead at halftime. The second half would roll on. That try saver from Munster and Pappenhausen on Britton to Corin was absolutely insane. And the Sharkies take the 2. They were behind by 8 and they take the 2 to make it 6 behind.
Talk to me about that tactic. I like it. I thought that was the right call, but do you think it was the right call?
I like it. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's the right call. I think then it just gets the game back to one score. You know what I mean? If you've got an easy gift 2, then let's just take the 2 and we're behind by 1 score. So look, I almost think that there's a lot of teams where their kickoff set, when they receive a kickoff after scoring points, is one of their best sets, especially if you've got a lot of momentum. So you can take the 2, get the kickoff set. Just if they don't execute the kick, it doesn't go as deep. A short kick off that lands out in the field of play, and then if the carry's outside the 10, 15 out, that's a win. If you get a guy inside the 10 on play 1, then that's a win for the defense. So keep an eye on that if you're watching the grand final. Inside the 10, it's a win for the defense. Outside the 10, it's a win for the attack. So that's the importance of a kickoff. But then if you get outside the 15 on play one, and then you move down the field, you almost put like another competitive kick up in the corner on the next set. So you can put some more pressure on the opposition on that set. So I really liked the play. I thought it was a good play. And then the Sharks, they had some opportunities at the back end of the game. Nico, unfortunately, made a knock on, took his eyes off the ball when they were sort of shifting from that right corner. And then it was Harry Grant and Xavier Coates who basically sealed the deal for the Melbourne Storm. Now, like this play, what a play, man. From like midfield and its last play, like the markers are kind of out of play. And Harry Grant like looks up and like there's a late third man back. He's got 5 defenders on his right and he's got 4 defenders on his left. So he jumps out, goes straight over the ad line, steps Britton Nakora, ices him in and then tips it on. And they've got just space galore on the outside. And then they go hands. And then Xavier Coates scores and it's basically game over.
That's game over.
That's game over. Too good. The Storm into another grand final. Like what a crazy ride for the Melbourne Storm. Craig Bellamy's record: 23 seasons as coach, 22 final series, and 11 grand finals. So he's playing a grand final every second year.
When you talk about Dynasty and the Panthers, like far out, why are we talking about the Melbourne Storm? You know,
he's playing a grand final every second year that he coaches. Like, is that not insane? Like, man, it's just so impressive. So impressive. So, I mean, the Sharks obviously scored that late try to KL Aro, which sort of brought the scoreline a little bit closer. Like, it was 22-10. The Sharks did decline the kick, but, yeah, man, what a win.
What a win.
What a win by the Storm. So your Sharkies, what do you...
What is my full overview?
What's your thoughts as a fan of the Sharkies? You know,
I personally think we're just missing one key player. When you look at the Storm, you've got Grant, Hughes, Pappy, Munster.
Yep.
Compared to us, like who kind of breaks that game open? I don't really see it, and I think like that game kind of showed it.
Yeah.
We don't really have a game breaker yet.
What about is Will Kennedy still off contract? Like hasn't re-signed? Heard nothing.
I don't know. But like, what's the other option? You know?
Yeah. Well, like I assume he stays for next year. And to me, like I mean, I've got no idea what's going on, but it's like if something hasn't come out yet, it's like it means he's not happy with what's being offered. Or the Sharks haven't offered anything and he has nothing else. So I don't know what's going on, but I think he potentially may not like what they've offered him because of their salary cap situation, and that's just where their salary cap is at the moment. He might have to stay and take the 1-year deal on less money to stay and then try and secure his future beyond that. Yep. But I think the carrot for him is like if he stays at Cronulla, like he's the fullback, sorry. Like he's going to stay and play fullback for next year. He's the fullback in the NRL for the Sharks. Excuse me. So, look, it's an interesting one. Look, what I will say about the Sharks is like for a team to make back-to-back preliminary finals on the football budget that this team has, like there's no way, like this team, the Sharks, and I know because I played 9 years there, like they don't have a budget that compares with any other team in the competition. Like what they have access to is not much compared to like what some of the big teams have access to with regards to their football. Now, football budget like consists of like, it might be travel, it might be facilities, it might be camps, it might be food, it might be, all those sort of things where like you can spend money into making sure performance is up to par, up to standard. So, for example, some teams, go into a hotel for the day of the game, just for the day. You know, they don't stay there, but like just to make sure their preparation's great, they actually all have a hotel room to get away from home to focus on the game. So like it is so impressive, and it's a credit to Cronulla. You know what I mean? It's a club that's done really well on a small budget for a long time. Like when we had the success there, like we were very similar. You know, we had a very, very limited budget compared to what other teams spend on their football program. Yep. So, look, I know. Obviously, like a lot of their players, especially Nico. Like Nico cops a lot of criticism as well for his performance from Sharks fans, and sometimes I don't understand why. But you know, when you're paid the $1 million tag, like when you're the highest paid player, like you're probably the one that sort of has to probably wear it on behalf of the team, unfortunately. And I don't like it sucks when I say it's just part of the game, like criticism. You know what I mean? Like it's, but unfortunately it is. And look, I'm a Sharks fan. I do like the team, seeing the boys go well. But yeah, look, I think they've had a good year. Yeah. And I think they'll be there next year. You know what I mean? Their squad, their team, everyone apart from like Will Kennedy. And this is a team like they've played together for a long time.
That team list does not change, eh?
Mate, it's the same team list each and every week. Katoa, Aramian, Mulatalo, Kennedy, Trindle, Hines, Brayley, Wilton, Rudolph. Like, you know what I mean? It's exactly the same team every single week. So, like, it is just absolutely crazy. Yeah, so I think they'll be around next year. Like, obviously, Fitzy's doing a really good job as well. So, but yeah, it may be that one player that they kind of need to sort of, you know, change the dynamic of the team and obviously the salary cap for them. I don't know their salary cap position, but obviously it may be playing a little bit of part at the moment. Because obviously the Will Kennedy situation, and you know we may start to see one or two of these guys potentially move on from bigger offers with some of the new teams that are coming in over the next couple of years.
Yep. Is that what you see from the Sharks team? That's kind of missing, just that one X factor.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard. Like when I watch Cronulla, like if Cronulla lose, like they quite often beat themselves.
Yep.
But on the weekend, like they completed at 87%. They had 47% of the ball. So they went down swinging like the Sharks. They were thereabouts. You know what I mean? They got beaten by, I agree with Fitz, they got beaten by a better team on the weekend. Storm executed their play, and you look at their big plays, right? You look at the Jerome Hughes try. Big game player, Jerome Hughes. Scores an unbelievable try from 40 out. Fend, line break, score. Pappenhausen. Munster kick for Pappenhausen. Munster, Pappenhausen, ID, kick, execute, call it, score, right? The last play to win the game. Harry Grant gets out a dummy half, runs over the advantage line, creates the space, creates the overlap, boom, boom, pass, Coates. So there's Munster, Pappenhausen, Jerome Hughes, and Harry Grant. All four of them. All four of their spine members have fingerprints and DNA over the whole game.
Yep.
Now, we've seen like glimpses of over the course of the year of some great footy from Blake Brayley, who's had an outstanding season, right? Will Kennedy's the same at the start of the year. He was playing great. Nico, like you know what Nico's best looks like. But if we were to compare the involvement from the Storm spine compared to the Melbourne spine from the weekend's game, like it's like this. You know what I mean? The Storm win by a long way.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, playing at home and having the week off, like these are all tangibles that obviously help the Storm as well. So that's the challenge for the Sharks. You know, that's the challenge for them to sort of take the lessons and fight back. And you know, like I said, they'll be around next year somewhere inside. Like there'll be a top 8 team for sure. But to come, you know, to finish outside the 4, to finish 5th, to jump in, to win 2 finals games. Look, I think it's a successful year for the Sharkies. So yeah, we'll see how they go next year.
Good stuff. Next up.
All right, let's go. Next game. Broncos 16, Panthers 14. Wow. I tell you what, this game was fast and fun to watch. Man, what a time, what a day I'll tell you what a kickoff time. Who's with me? Grand final day this time, like twilight.
Talked about it last week.
Oh,
didn't you?
come on. And you know what sort of got me a little bit going during the week? I saw Peter V'landys. He actually made a comment to say, we're actually thinking about changing the game, the time of the grand final for the next CBA. And I was like, PVL, you're onto something here, brother. You're onto something.
He must have watched the podcast.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm actually trying to interview PVL one day. What do you reckon?
Oh, good. What would you ask? What would you ask him?
What would I ask him? I don't know. I'd ask him for some tips because he loves his racing. So I don't know. Excuse me. So look, this crowd, absolutely phenomenal. Sold out, Suncorp Stadium, daytime, fast track, 2 teams just prepared to throw the ball around. Look, I love the time of the game. I love the pictures at the start of the game. It was so good to watch. Spring football, the weather's starting to warm up. We're watching the game in daytime. And then kickoff. Obviously, kickoff happened. And then, unfortunately, very early on in the game, Scotty Sorensen in the second minute, copped a head knock, copped a collision straight in the face, and got up to get back in the defensive line, has a slight stumble, what you would call it, I'd say. He went off with a HIA, and they deemed it Category 1. Now, Scotty went into the sheds, and he did his test straight away, and he passed his HIA test. So if Penrith won the game, there would have been a process of him potentially applying with an independent doctor and having to get ticked off to be available for the grand final. Now, obviously, they say that Category 1 is 11 days minimum stand down, but a lot of guys who get Category 1 don't go and do the test because it's like Category 1. But he wanted to do the test straight away. Obviously, if you've heard me talk about the test before and how actually hard it is, like it's hard enough when you're not concussed. So he would go on, he would pass the test. He pulled up from the game completely fine. So obviously was unable to play any more part in the game, which, was lucky for the Panthers. They had Luke Garner on the bench, who's done a pretty good job this year at sort of filling the gaps for the Panthers. He done a pretty good job, but obviously just to lose one forward out of their rotation made it a little bit difficult, I would say.
How much did him trying to get up and kind of stumbling maybe affect that decision to make it a Cat 1? Is it better for a player to just kind of stay down for a bit and try to regroup?
Of course, yeah, definitely. And it's a tough one because, you don't really get taught to stay down, but you do get taught to how to try and handle yourself when you've been a little bit dazed or you're hurt or you're injured or whatever. Because there's so many angles around the game now. So if you do sort of get caught a knock, you kind of want to just give yourself some time. The biggest thing is you don't have to rush to get back in the defensive line, but you also just want to make sure, I guess, get yourself some time. What's kind of sore, whether it's, it might be like a shoulder, it might be a neck, you might have got hit in the head. You know what I mean? But if you get up and just basically run back the defensive line and stumble and rush yourself to back there, and you stumble, you're gone. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's better for you to just, if you can take some time. There's no rush to get anywhere. The biggest thing is you've got 15 seconds to get off the ground. If you're completely out of it, you're clearly out of it. But you might be a little bit dazed. You've got time. You've got a 15-second window where you need to move, make some form of movement. So it's more so just you kind of get taught on how to sort of manage the situation as best you can. Obviously, you don't need to you don't need to rush yourself. That's the biggest thing I would say. And Scotty, obviously they were defending, so he obviously wanted to get back as quick as he could back in the line. And obviously the stumble was the big one. If he hadn't stumbled, it wouldn't have been Cat 1. He would have been Cat 2, come off, pass his test, which he did, and then he would have been allowed to go back on. So, but yeah, that sort of begged the question. I got Scotty Drinkwater text me straight away saying, far out, is he all right? That's why they need the week off after the prelims before the grand final. And it kind of got me thinking, what do we think of that? The Super Bowl, after their games to get into the Super Bowl, they have a week off and then they play the Super Bowl. So what do we think? Drop a comment. Victor, what's your thoughts on that as a fan of the game?
I love that idea. I really do.
Why?
Because resting the whole team, coming out fresh after 2 weeks of rest, the players are hopefully at their best. And I also think it creates more hype.
Yeah.
Like a lot more content can come out of it. You think about the Super Bowl like how much hype there is around that game.
Yeah.
It leaves a lot more room for content and media to do their thing,
Yep.
which we love.
Which we do love.
Which we love.
You know what? I actually never thought of it like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I more thought of it from like players being allowed to rest more.
Obviously. I think that's...
And obviously if there was any head knocks, it gives you that mandatory time to sort of stand in. Because you would hate to cop a head knock. You've played all year. You get to a slight little head knock. You get deemed Cat 1 and then you're ruled out of the game. It's like,
for sure.
Mate, this is I might never play an NRL grand final ever again in my life. I'm prepared to get out on the field. I'll die for this thing. So
I think that's got to come with shortening the regular season though, because even extending that season another week is like far out.
Well, we know my thoughts on the length of the season, don't we?
We do.
But look, I like the content build up. I mean, we're in the content game now. You feel big things coming. Stay tuned. But yeah. Anyway, I
like it.
Yeah,
maybe that can be your first thing you bring up to V'landys in your interview.
When I interview him. V'landys, let's go. Week off before the grand final. Thoughts. All right, let's get into this game before we just start blabbering on a bit more. The Panthers' first try out to their right corner, Alamotti, was insane again. This guy has just gone to another level at the back end of this season, and it was the Panthers and their ability. Like if you watch his back, like Dylan Edwards and Gamut Shibasaki decides to jam. And Dylan Edwards just kind of like holding his feet, where like instead of he runs and keeps running, like he just stops. He waits for the ball to get to him. He stops, which pulls Gamut Shibasaki out of the line, and then he passes on to Tago, and then Tago basically catches and passes. And that is such an underrated skill when attacking the try line, because you've got more aggressive defense when you're attacking the try line. So just the ability to just hold your feet, hold your depth, and then let the ball do the work. So you can clearly see, like with just holding his feet and using his hands to catch and pass. The catch and pass from Penrith all game in this game was phenomenal. I was just watching some of their plays and like just everything out in front, early catch, transfer, pass, and it was just like the ability to just execute under pressure was really great to see. That was something I really noticed throughout the game. So Cleary then kicked that goal from the sideline. The crowd went a little bit silent, and that's important when you're an away team. When you're playing a team at their home ground and the crowd is just loud, like if you can score early and sort of silence the crowd. And look, obviously they got to that 14-0 lead where, Alamotti scores another try, with the squareness of Nathan Cleary going into that line again. And then the hands, as we spoke about. Look, if you can get to that lead where you just kind of silence the crowd a little bit, that definitely helps as an away team. So look, it was big. And I think the Casey McLean intercept, that was a pretty big call. Like got called offside. Had he been allowed to play on there, that would have been really interesting how that sort of would have wound out in that first half.
Do you think that was the right call, by the way?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a touch and go call, to be honest. I thought it was...
It's an interesting one.
It was an interesting one, yeah. I mean, it's just because it was kind of... I thought it could have gone either way. Like, if he hadn't let that go and he called try, I probably would have been okay with it, to be honest. So...
Did you feel like it was kind of like an evener in a way?
Potentially.
It felt like they were letting Penrith lay in the ruck a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was pretty happy with how Green Atkins ref this game, to be honest, which we'll get into a little bit in a little bit. But that play where McLean took the intercept, that was the same play or very similar setup to when Reece Walsh would execute the game-winning try assist. So it was like this time Reynolds had a player on his inside and outside, and they're trying to sit the opposition back rower 4-man with their middle forward, and then Walsh would get out the back. And this is the play they'll run this weekend. Like, you watch this game on the weekend. This play is one of Reece Walsh's favourite play. When I used to play with Drinky, this is the play. If I got Drinky in this position, like, it's good night, especially attacking the trial inside the 10. And it's all about creating, like, the edge holding their width and just running hard straight lines. So he's got the back rower, the centre, and then the winger holding the paint. So he's got short, he's got long, or he's got over the top, or he's got a kick as well. So, look, I think they'll stick to this. It's almost like the conversation's been had with Reece Walsh. What's your favourite play? What do you want to do? And that's what they've come up with. So I look forward to breaking that down a little bit. We're potentially just in the works at the moment about organising a grand final preview for you guys later this week with a special guest. So stay tuned to that, which we'll get into a bit more. Anyway, back into the game. So the Broncos goal line defence pretty much saved them the game, to be honest, in this game. There was a big period there in the second half where they were just defending their line. And I remember thinking to myself, if the Broncos concede here, like, it is just, I think it's game over. It's game over. They have to hold on here. And it was like Cleary, he didn't pass to Talangi, where he kind of had that option to play like a short pass to Talangi. Talangi, I think he goes through and scores. But Cleary holds onto it. And then from that minute on, it was like the Broncos just they found something. They found some energy. They went down the other end. The Reynolds, that kick for Stags, they've been sort of connecting on that play, on that flat kick for years since they've played together. I really, really like that play from Reynolds. Just heads up play. Stags calls for it, gets nice and flat. Reynolds executes the kick. Obviously, there was a little bit of a bump there, but the bounce good enough for Stags to score. And then after that, I thought, like, the Broncos, they were a little bit lateral in this game for a long part of it. And I thought they could have ran some more shapes with their centres running leads inside the Storm centres. Inside the Panthers centres. Like, the Panthers, if anything, I feel like they're a little bit vulnerable with some of their centre decision makings, especially early on in the season. That's just one of the things I kind of noticed. So the Broncos scored that first try through Stags. The next one they got with was Willison. Obviously on the back of that defence I spoke about. Cleary went for the intercept, knocked it down. Willison's there, picks it up, scores. Reece Walsh misses the absolute sitter for goal kick. Yeah. And then the last try, which we spoke about, that shape with Reynolds. This time he skips across field, shows one under. He's trying to sit that opposition 4-man again to create that 4 and 3 on the edge for Walsh. Walsh gets it. He takes on the line and then finds a pass somehow over the top, basketball style, to Dean Mariner, who just does the rest. Lindsay Smith was there. Dylan Edwards was there. He steps back off the right foot, beats them all, and gets through and scores. And he was pumped up. And then the goal kick to basically go in front. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's Reece Walsh here. Like, he's kicking all the goals. He's on the right-hand touchline. He's left foot, so he can come in. He can get his natural shape left to right, and he'll probably get it. And then the veteran, Reno, gets the ball, and I'm like, who's called? Who's made this call? And then we found out after the game it was Walsh made the decision to give it to Reynolds for the kick, and what a decision it was. Adam Reynolds, who is one of the greatest goal kickers we'll probably ever see in the NRL history and point scorer, gets the goal from the sideline, ice in the veins. What a kick, man! That's like the stuff when you're a kid, when you're on the sideline, you're like, kick to win the game, sirens going in the background, and then you just kick it. So yeah, what a great moment for Adam Reynolds. His first game back from injury, but yeah, I thought he was great. That was awesome. Great kick. Now the Panthers obviously did have an opportunity late in the game to even the game or score. Like, they had some ball, and I found this really interesting, especially on that last play where the Panthers were sort of working towards the Broncos try line. They sort of got over the 40, and then I'm thinking, oh, geez, like we've seen that sort of long pass from Mitch Kenny to Nathan went to kick that 2-point field goal. I think it was against the Titans earlier in the season. And I'm thinking, are they going to set that up again? And it gets to it gets to the last tackle, and Nathan's like standing there, and then he just kind of runs back to the 40. And I'm like, geez, does he not know? Is he out of position? Like, he got the whole situation wrong. And I guess it's just, we just don't see that from Nathan getting it wrong very much. So it was like, I don't know whether he second-guessed his decision, whether he was going to go for the try, whether he was late, whether he didn't know the tackle count. Like something had happened there where he made an error in judgment, because if he was going for the 2-point, he would have been back in position if he knew it was last play, or if they were going to run the ball or whatever it was. But he kind of was in two minds, ran back, got the ball, got it. Like you pause it. You see like there's about 8 Broncos players all there chasing him out there. Passes to Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards takes the shot, who's a good kicker of the ball too, mind you. Obviously, under a lot of duress and a lot of pressure, he takes the shot, and that's it. That's ball game. The Panthers out. The Broncos go through to the grand final. Look, the Panthers' 4-year dominance.
Is the dynasty over?
Is the dynasty over? Look, I don't think the dynasty's over. I'm not prepared to say that yet. Like a dynasty's like, just because you lose and you don't make the grand final, you're not going to win the comp, doesn't mean the dynasty's over. Like they'll be around next year. Let's have a listen to what Ivan Cleary had to say in the press conference.
Right, it's been an amazing reign we've had for so long. How does it feel that it's over now?
What's over?
Well, I guess the 4-time premiers dynasty you've had. It's been an amazing run.
Thank you. I'd like to think there's more in us. See, I'm not going to win it this year, but we definitely showed a fair bit to fight back from a poor start. That's its own story, but doesn't need to be told today. But probably some lessons in there, and but ultimately just not quite good enough this year. But I feel like we got some real strides with some young guys this year, and the core of our team's going to still be there next year, and hopefully they use this feeling, which we haven't had for a while, to spur us on.
Yeah, I mean, they're all very valid points, like Peter Bedell from the Courier Mail says it's over.
It's a crazy.
How does it feel it's over? That's the question.
It's not over at all.
How does it feel it's over? The dynasty. He's just sort of said it like, it's like you look at like the Kansas City Chiefs. They won like 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. Like that's a dynasty. They won 1, lost 1, then won back-to-back Super Bowls. Like that's a dynasty. Just because you don't win, like if Panthers come back and if they win the comp next year, the dynasty's like still there.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So until they keep losing and don't win, maybe next year if they don't win next year, it's like if they win next year, the dynasty's still there. They've won like 5 of the last 6.
Yep.
So look, I think that was pretty crazy from Peter Bedell to say that.
I think one more year as well. Like this year was definitely a rebuild. I want to say rebuilding in quotations.
Rebuild,
which is crazy to think, but like it was a reshape of their spine.
Yeah, I mean, especially where they were in the first half of the year. Yeah. Like we keep saying it, but after round 12, this team was on the last position of the ladder.
Yeah.
They were playing without confidence. Their edge defense was terrible. They got themselves back into position by winning 8 or 9 in a row, taking 1 week at a time. And it was on the back of their defense, especially their edge defense, which was awful at the start of the season. So, look, I'm a Panthers fan, as you guys know. I back Scotty to the end. So, look, I think they'll learn a lot from this year. I think their younger guys will take a lot of steps in the right direction. But look, they're like Ivan just said, the core of this team will be there. Will be there next year. Like you look at their core guys: Yo, Cleary, Edwards, Mitch Kenny, Moses Leota, Sorrow, Brian To'o. They're all there again next year. So, yeah, I mean,
they will be back.
they'll be back. And I guess the Broncos, like they go through the week off, obviously, like we said at the top of the show, the week off is just, it makes a huge difference. I know I've had the week off playing and just the week to reset, refresh, and not have to belt other people and get belted makes a huge difference. So let's just quickly touch on Grant Atkins, his performance in the game. We obviously think that was better than Ashley Klein's performance. Now, who did we think refs the grand final?
Who does ref the grand final?
Because Adam G, I'm pretty sure, did he ref last year or the year before? Remember when he had a really good performance in the grand final, let the boys play?
Yeah, that was Adam G, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was Adam G.
Or was it
I'm not
in
sure.
this Origin? No.
Nah. But anyway, look, after the weekend, I'm going with Grant Atkins. Not sure who you guys think. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, I think he deserves his position, and it will be interesting to see because obviously Klein refed all of Origin. But yeah, if I'm judging it from the weekend's games and performances, I'm going with Grant Atkins.
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, let's move into what we got next. Victor.
Daily M position nominations. Let's go through all the position nominations and the coach nominations, and I want to see your thoughts on all these and who you got.
All right.
First up, fullback of the year nominees.
Yeah.
KO Weeks, James Tedesco, and Reece Walsh.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've done my team of the year, so I think it's quite clear about who I'm sort of thinking with regards to my Daily M nominations. Look, I think Tedesco wins the fullback of the year. I think he's had a tremendous year. Look, I think all of these players who get nominated have had tremendous years, but I just think there are some players who stand out a little bit for me, and I'm going to go Teddy at the fullback position.
Fullback. Who we got next? Centre of the year. Casey McLean, Robert Toyer, Herbie Farnworth, Stephen Crichton, or Katoni Staggs.
Well, this is crazy. One of my centres of the year, actually, in my team of the year, actually isn't nominated, which is absolutely crazy. I had Tolu Kola as one of my centres of the year, but obviously in these Daily M awards, look, I'll go with Crichton there, and I'll also go with Herbie Farnworth as the other, just a touch over Katoni Staggs. But great for Robbie Toyer to be nominated. That's in his first year of NRL. That's absolutely fantastic.
Winger of the year. Marky Mark, Xavier Savage, Jacob Kiraz, Zach Lomax, or Xavier Coates.
Well, we've got both my wingers here, so I'm going to go with Marky Mark, Nwanga Nitwase, and Xavier Coates.
Yes, sir. 5'8" and halfback. So 5'8", we've got Munster, Ethan Strange, Matt Burton, and halfback we got Cleary, Jamal Fogg, and Isaiah Katoa.
This is an easy one. I've put both these boys are in my team of the year, and that's Ethan Strange and Isaiah Katoa in the halves.
Yes, sir. Hooker of the year, Appy, Blake Brayley, or Tom Starling.
Well, another easy one for me. Blake Brayley is the Daily M hooker of the year for me.
Prop of the year, AFB, Stefano Utoikamanu, Josh Papali'i, Terrell May, or Payne Haas.
Yeah, right. Well,
who was your other? Was it you had Haas and someone else?
Wasn't Tino? Was it? I'm not sure. I might have to get it up. But yeah, out of these nominations, I'll go with Payne Haas, and I'll go with Adam Fanua Blake as the props of the year.
Yep. Second row of the year, Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, Eli Katoa, Leka Halasima, or Hudson Young.
Look, great to see Leka Halasima in there, and Gussie as well. But for me, I voted in my team of the year, I had Eli Katoa and I had Hudson Young as well.
Yep. Love it. Lock of the year, Aaron Clark, Isaiah Yeo, or Nafau White.
Jeez, they put Fahu at
They were Fahu.
13. I think I had Fahu as my other front rower.
That's right. Yes, you did. You had him at 10.
Yeah, which is interesting because Fahu's been put at lock here. Look, I had Aaron Clark as my lock of the year. I had Nafahu White in my front rower of the year. So, look, for this sake, so I'll go with Aaron Clark.
Rookie of the year, Isaiah Iongi, Leka Halasima, or Robbie Toyer.
Jeez.
Oof.
I mean, I'm a Leka Halasima fan, but I got to go with my boy Bobby Toyer. Bobby, man,
Origin debut.
Origin debut, all 3 Origins. What a year he's had, Bobby Toyer. Like, phenomenal. All these guys have massive futures, so I look forward to watching them all, but Bobby Toyer.
Captain of the year, James Tedesco, Nathan Cleary, or Stephen Crichton?
Oh, I'm going to go with James Tedesco. Yep.
Coach of the year, Cameron Serrato, Michael Maguire, or Ricky Stewart?
Oof. With what I know right now, if you asked me like a couple of weeks ago after round 27, I would have given you one answer. But if you ask me now, my answer may have changed. So am I answering after 27 rounds or am I asking after 27 rounds plus 3 finals games?
Let's go now because you've already answered your 20.
I'll go Michael Maguire. I had Sticky, right? I had Sticky, but after 27 rounds, I had Sticky, right? But after 27 rounds plus 3 finals games, I've changed that to Michael Maguire.
It's made the grand final.
Yeah, what an achievement. Wow.
Yeah. And the Proven Simmons medal, Jerome Luai and Lockie Garvin, Jamal Fogarty, and Zach Lomax.
So you're going to need to remind me what the Proven Simmons medal is.
Is awarded to the player deemed by the Daily M judges to have displayed the true spirit of the game through their actions and conduct on the field.
Okay. I'm going to go Jamal Fogarty. Yep, for sure. I think he's done a tremendous job, and it's great to see him get a 3-year contract as a veteran half going to a new team. So, well done to him.
Yep, love it. Last up. We've got the St. Helens try.
Oh, yeah. Wow. What a try, man. This is absolutely insane. Like, St. Helens in the Super League against Leeds Rhinos, and, like, I remember seeing this on social media the other day. Let's have a look. Because it is absolutely insane. 14-12, Leeds are up. The siren has gone. That's correct?
Yep, siren has gone.
Siren's gone.
And here in the playoffs, and it comes down to this last play as to which team goes on from here.
Which team goes on from here?
This now is Wellesby. Lomax is involved.
Jeez.
Lomax out wide. Leeds desperate to put hands on bodies to stop things from happening. Whitley, Saylor. It's with Robertson.
He looks moves nice.
Inside. So many bodies ahead of him. Roberts for the outside.
Jeez, how many tackle breaks?
Oh,
flick pass.
Back to the middle. Whitley now.
Oh, the numbers here. Numbers.
They're going to score. It's going to
oh my goodness.
For Shane Wright. Have you ever seen
Shane Wright?
like that? That is utterly extraordinary.
Wow.
Look at the reaction.
That's hectic.
That's crazy. Like, siren's gone, you got a penalty tap. That's an interesting sort of scenario. Like, if we're running that training scenario, what are we running? What are we setting up? What's option 1? What are we running there?
Would even run there? They wouldn't even have any option. Like,
I got an option up ahead actually. I got an option up my sleeve that I like in that scenario, but that's crazy. What a result.
How freaking good.
Yeah, all right. Next on What's Trending. Look, I got some personal news actually that happened to me over the course of the weekend. Now, I was invited to my junior club, Yalwara Tigers, presentation day on the weekend. I went up to my oval where I literally grew up 5 doors down the street, down the road. And I got invited up there to hand out some awards and take some photos with the kids. And it was a great day. And I actually was surprised. The club actually awarded me life membership at the Yalwara Tigers, my junior club. And it actually brought like a tear to my eye, to be honest. I was actually very, very blown away by the gesture from the club. The club, obviously, I've spoken a lot about how much I owe the club, and like it gave me the opportunity to fall in love with the game. All my friends, everything I've got in my life is basically from the game of rugby league. And all my best friends today I met when I was playing at the Tigers. They're only a very small team in the Sutherland Shire, pretty much based with all junior teams from like under 6s to, under 15s or 16s. So don't really have any senior teams, but the junior teams, they've got a few. And obviously now the women's, some women's numbers as well, which are growing in the Sutherland Shire. So look, I just want to say from from my heart. Like, it touched my heart, and I'm very, very thankful and grateful to receive that life membership. I've got a nice jacket at home that's got like life member embroidered on it, which is pretty cool. I might wear it on the next podcast. So, I just want to express my gratitude towards the committee, and everyone involved who awarded me that prestigious honour. I'm very, very appreciative. So, let's move into our fan questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Victor,
Fan questions. What are the differences between playing at 5'8" and halfback, and could you play both positions?
Look, I think nowadays they're more similar now than what they've ever been. I think traditionally, like around a lot of time when I played, like traditionally a halfback is more the one who controls the sets, calls the plays, controls all the kicking, touches the ball more. Where your 5'8" tends to kind of just run the ball a bit more. He may do a little bit less kicking. He may have more X factor, more footwork. But it's not to say like a 6 can't play 7 and a 7 can't play 6. But I think over the course of like a long term, like you kind of want to stick to the number that sort of suits you. So 7 obviously suited the style of football that I was. I was a general. I kicked the ball. I got the team around the park with my voice. I executed set plays. I executed the game plan. Did I have like lightning fast footwork or speed or a great running game of the ball? Like, that wasn't my play. Like, I stuck to what I was good at. So, look, there are subtle differences, but I think nowadays they're more similar just because of how quick the game is and how teams play. It's almost like I was going to say a glorified version of touch footy. Just with how quick the game is now. So, I hope that answers the question anyway.
Yeah. That kind of leads me into my next question. Towards the end of your career, did you start to feel like you were a step behind the next generation? And if so, what was the main reason you thinking this?
Look, I think this year, like I only played 6 games and, we lost 5 of the 6 games I played this year. Did I feel like I lost a step? Yeah, I mean, potentially. Like I think more so in the games, like I don't think I ever felt like comfortable with, honesty. Like, I felt like I was playing more not to stuff up this year. Obviously, being in a new club and having just gotten there, it's like I didn't feel as comfortable as I probably had previously. If I had stayed at the Cowboys and played on this year, I feel like I would have played much better. That's just me being honest. Like, but that's obviously not the way things had played out, and I'm very, very happy with the way things played out. Even though, regardless of that, I didn't have the success personally as I had this year. With regards to like the step, all through preseason, like I was hitting all my like markers for like testing, with regards to like fitness. But what I will say is like the load and the Ks that I've got in my legs over the course of like the last 15 years in the NRL, like it does come back to like bite you when you get to this age. Like you do get a bit slower. It's harder to recover. It takes longer to recover. And physically, like I cannot do what I could do 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And so I couldn't be out on the field like kicking for hours and hours and hours like some of these younger kids can do. On my day off, there couldn't be a full, like there'd be a little bit of time, but like I couldn't do things for hours and hours and hours because of like I've got a family and I've got other things going on. You know what I mean? I sort of committed my time to my life where when you're young, you've got no worries. And I did that stuff when I was young. You know what I mean? So, I hope that answers the question.
For sure. Nice. Broncos defense line speed in the first half was apparently non-existent to this guy, which allowed Penrith to march through every set. Do you think this was a technique used by Madge to manage fatigue, especially when the game was going very fast?
No, definitely not a technique. No coach ever tells a team not to have line speed. I think more so probably just Broncos missing the jump of the game. Penrith have always been traditionally good starters. That's why they got to 14-0 lead. They were winning the field position battle from very, very early on. Their back 5 very rarely get put on their back. You watch Brian To'o, Paul Alamotti carry the ball. Very rarely are they put on their back with defenders making it a slow play the ball. It just doesn't happen. So that's why they're always fighting. They're up fighting. They're getting quick play the balls, and that's why they're able to alleviate the line speed because of the quickness of the play the ball and quickness of the ruck.
Nice.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on the Ezra Mam tackle on Cleary?
I thought it was play on. I thought it was you hear me. I'm a big fan of protecting kickers, but excuse me. In this instance, I thought he was just going for a tackle. He wrapped the arms. He took him to the ground. He wasn't tackled in the air. I thought the whole situation was played on. Like I get the reaction from Cleary, and I probably would have done the same if someone hits me like that. It's like you want to get up and let's go, let's have a go. But then it's like I thought it was a fair play, and then Liam Martin ran from like 30 meters in and was like, "Hey, don't do that to my guy. Do not do that to my guy. I got my guys back." And then they were going at it, which is fair enough from Liam Martin, but it was probably, I mean, you can't do that, and it was probably a worthy penalty to Broncos. I was happy with the call.
Do you think if there was any other game, they all get sin binned?
You know what? Probably, which sucks to say that, but if that's like round 17. It may be a penalty and it may be a sin bin. And that's what sort of frustrates me and frustrates fans with regards to some of the consistency of the calls over the course of the season. Like, there's no doubt Origins are ref differently, Finals are ref differently. So, yeah, look, I don't know the definitive answer, but it would not surprise me had we seen something happen more than what had happened, yeah.
Is Scott okay?
Yes, Scotty's fine. He's all good. Like I said, he passed his HIA test immediately when he went off the field. He obviously wasn't allowed back on. He went down and joined the team, watched the game from the bench for the rest of the game. He's pulled up fine. He caught up with all the family. My wife went up to the game and watched, and the rest of his family obviously just disappointed with the loss. So, fingers crossed he gets a bit of time off, a little bit of rest now, and then they've got the Kiwis games against Samoa and Tonga coming up. So fingers crossed he gets picked in that, which he should. So, we'll see how he goes.
Who is your longest lasting friendship from after you debuted?
Jeez, my longest lasting friendship in the NRL from players. I think, look, I've always maintained a very good relationship and friendship with Jaden Brayley. Him and I are quite good mates. Val Holmes. So over the course of my career, I would have played like nearly all of my game. I would have played of the 268 games I played, I reckon 200 of them were with Val. So he's one of my closest mates. Obviously, Drinky as well. I'd probably say those three. Like, I speak to Val and Drinky pretty much every day, to be honest with you. We got a little group chat going, which is fire. So, yeah.
Love it. All right, last one. Best play/performance you've ever seen from a teammate while on the field?
Jeez. That's a very, very good question. I've seen a couple of really, really big performances. Look, when I was at the Warriors, when I played with Sean when I was younger, there was some things he did on the field which was just phenomenal. He scored a try against Melbourne one day where he just stood up Cameron Smith, all ends up, got through the line, then went through and scored. That was amazing. The field goal from Val Holmes in the 2022 finals game against Cronulla at Shark Park, sorry to bring that up for you, Victor.
I was there on Family Hill. Just watching that.
Was insane. That's one of the most clutchest kicks I've ever seen in my life. That was proper clutch. Look, I've seen some carries from like Paul Gallen when we were deep in our own end and the line speed were just teeing off on everyone. He would just carry the ball and just cop a beating. And I'd just be like, gosh, you are just a tough bastard. And he just would do it. Like, he just gets up, plays the ball, cops a beating. So, yeah, like there's some unbelievable performances and acts of skill, toughness, and everything that I've been lucky enough to be around. So, yeah, hope that answers your question.
Love it.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Victor, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoy the podcast, please make sure you do subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Drop us a comment. Let us know. Give us a question. Anything you got in the comments, like this video, all that good stuff. And stay tuned. The grand final preview, we're trying to organise today. So hopefully stay tuned to our social media. We'll have that locked in because we're talking about locking it in the preview with a guest NRL player as well, who is, I don't want to give too much away. You'll have to stay tuned. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Let's go.